stuffing, mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole. These three dishes usually are side by side on the Thanksgiving table, but if you load up on all those calories, they could end up sticking with you for years. Studies have shown that here in the U.S., Americans gain about 1 pound every year over the holidays, and they never lose that pound. The cycle repeats itself year after year, and before you know it, all those pounds add up. They can lead to chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. So with the holidays right around the corner, we came here to Daytona State College to ask Executive Chef Costa how we can make our holiday favorites just a little bit healthier. Chef, it all looks really good.
Well,
and you're
better.
telling me
I made it for you. Come on.
It's the holidays. But you're telling me that it's healthier than what I might cook.
Yeah, it's probably healthier than a lot of people cook.
All right, well, let's get started.
You know, if you're going to make a meal that is healthier, it has to taste good. If it doesn't,
Yes,
you'll see,
otherwise, why bother?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to sit there, I'm not a meat eater, but I want something that tastes like meat. Come on. If that's the case, I mean, I'm sorry. You can get a mushroom that does that.
Yeah.
But really, we can make things that taste good and maybe cut some of the calories out of it, maybe make it gluten-free. It's not a big chore. We just have some certain things, and that's what I did today. Tried to make, you know, standard side dishes, but I made them a little bit different.
So how did you take the regular meal and make it where we're not
Well, it's
gaining
all
weight?
your fault. I mean, you called me up and said, I want it healthy.
Where else would I go? Chef Costa suggests that you begin the holiday meal with a salad. He uses fresh lettuce and mixed greens, and he adds even more color with oranges, pecans, and grape tomatoes.
But then we look at the dressing, and that's the key to it.
Yeah, a lot of calories in that.
Well, if we're going to make a dressing, standard dressing with oil and vinegar, or some kind of heavy cream dressing, you really took away the idea of eating a fresh salad. So what I did is I came up with a new dressing for you that I thought you might like. And what I've done is I've taken orange juice and I put it over the stove and I heat it up. You like that?
That's good, and it is creamy, like that thick, but not, you can taste the orange juice. Yeah, it's nice.
You know, you can do that dressing with oil and vinegar. You can actually replace some of the oil in that oil and vinegar dressing with chicken stock. So instead of oil, you thicken it, add the vinegar to it, so you made the same kind of sauce. But that arrowroot is really an amazing product. A lot of people have been doing this for a long time, using cauliflower for mashed potatoes. Well, I decided to use cauliflower, but I also decided to add parsnips to it. Okay, everybody says, parsnips? What in the world is that? Well, parsnips, you know, is a root.
Right.
And it's very sweet. If you take it and clean it, it looks like a little carrot that's white. When you roast it or boil it, it'll become sweet on you. So what I did is I took cauliflower that I used and the parsnips, I boiled it together, and then I pureed it in a mixer, depending on what you want to use for a mixer. I put a little bit of butter into it, and then I kind of said, that looks pretty good. I put a little bit of seasoning on it, a little salt, a little butter, and that was it. If you want to give it a little taste, that's it right there.
Well, if I have to.
Well, I mean, you know, if you do. Yeah? I don't think you're going to make anybody mad with that, do you?
It's not potatoes, but it's very good.
It has
It's
a real
very
nice,
close.
And what you can do with that is just like we were just talking about. People are looking. Here's your mashed potato, basically, and you're right. It has a little cauliflower off taste, not off taste, but you can taste
gravy
it.
for that?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. I made gravy.
Healthy gravy.
There's your gravy and mashed potatoes. Now, when you go to taste it this time, you're going to see that, well, it's got like a turkey flavor like that would. Uh-oh. Must have hit a winner with that
Go
one.
ahead, go on to your next dish. I'm going to finish this one first.
I thought you'd like that. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
I know, and it's simple. I mean,
Yeah.
I took, oh, I know. Everybody says, I got to make gravy. Oh, my goodness gracious. All I did was take it, put it on a stove in a little pot, brought it to a boil. I mixed a little bit of this arrowroot with the chicken stock, made a little slurry, put it in there, stirred it up. When it thickened up to the thickness I wanted, it was done. You don't have to be a chef, cook, or anybody. if you can mix things.
Easy for you to say. Easy for you to say.
Well, I wasn't thinking about you, but trying to make it easier.
I'm a good eater. Somebody else has to be the cooker.
Well, that's the most important part.
That's right.
So I'm glad you like that. So
Oh, yeah.
you can see we made some subtle changes here, but the flavor has to be there. I think that's critical. And then we also decided to make cornbread dressing. And everybody makes cornbread dressing, or they make their own bread dressing for the holidays, and gluten-free. I actually could have made this gluten-free if I used gluten-free bread, but I wanted to make it cornbread because here in the South, that's pretty popular.
Chef Costa reduced the amount of calories and carbs in this Southern Thanksgiving staple by using half the amount of cornbread and replacing it with chopped portobello tops. The mushrooms, turkey stock, and leeks are cooked down in a pot. Then he tosses in the cornbread and spices before it's roasted in the oven.
Oh, man.
That's horrible, isn't it? Here,
Oh.
let me have it.
Well, you sure you don't want to? Oh, gosh, that tastes good. That really does taste great.
It's one of my, I was going to say one of my favorites, but there's nothing on this table that's not. So.
Always have sweet potatoes during the Thanksgiving holidays, right? Yeah, I know. You were looking at that earlier. Well, generally, you take sweet potatoes, fresh potatoes, peel it. This is what they look like.
So nothing out of a can.
No, gosh.
I don't use, that was for other people. I don't do that.
Well, I thought we discussed that earlier. It's all fresh. Anyway, we have sweet potato. We peel it, cut it up, and kind of steam it a little bit. Not really very much. I put it in the oven. I like it better that way. So I put it in the oven, in a pan. I put maple syrup, a little bit of butter, and I folded it all together, and I covered it in the oven. So it baked, so it didn't get real brown. So halfway through the baking process, about 15, 20 minutes, I take the cover off, and I finish baking it. And there's your sweet potatoes. Now, you don't have all that sugar that you put on there, and then you know how it cooks down, it gets all that syrupy taste on it, and it's really high in calories. This one here is reduced in calories, and I think that maple syrup flavor may be something that you might appreciate. Man, I'm running out of plates for you. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I'll leave that.
Okay. So when you say some syrup and some butter, about how much in it?
Oh, if you're looking at this, if you had a plate this large, which is about 4 potatoes, what's wrong? Isn't that wonderful?
You don't want to eat that. Put that over there.
Yeah, put that on your side
On my
again,
side
right?
of the table.
I put about half a cup when you're looking at it. That's not a lot.
No. Chef Costa covered the staples, but he also threw in a unique side dish that may become an annual favorite.
Butternut squash. What in the world's that got to do with Thanksgiving, right? You know, this thing can do so many things for you. You could actually make a gravy out of that. If you took butternut squash, peeled it and cut it up, put it into a pot, which is what I did, and I added some celery, little onions to it, and I put again the turkey stock and steamed it in that till it was tender. Once it got tender, then I put it into the mixer and blended. I put allspice, I put cinnamon, and I put a little bit of that maple syrup in there.
All of the fall flavors.
So now you have almost like a sweet potato souffle, but it's not sweet potatoes, it's squash. So please be my guest. See if that would
Wouldn't want to hurt your feelings.
Well, I mean, you know how I feel about that. I'd be crying here in a minute.
No one would ever know that was a squash.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, you look at that, it looks like sweet potatoes. And you go, what have we done there? We've taken, the sweet potato actually is good for you. You know, people like sweet potato. But we've taken all that sugar out of sweet potato. And we've taken all that eggs and a lot of the other products that you put in souffle and took it all out. All we did was add flavor to it. Finally, string beans. Everybody likes to make a string bean casserole.
These aren't limp either.
Well, see, I don't like string bean casserole. That reminds me of my family's cooking. They take a can of that cream of mushroom soup, and they add it to string beans. And
it's tradition.
Oh, that's horrible.
It says it on the can.
That's not my tradition. They put it in the oven, they bake it. Oh, isn't this good? And I just kind of look at it and go, oh, please, no.
Chef, thank you very much. We'll see you again next year with desserts. For the Florida Department of Health right here in Volusia County, I'm Dr. Holly Smith.